I do think that there is a thing called pretty privilege. There is a thing called white privilege. And Caitlin Clark is bringing this money into the league, and other players will benefit from it. But I do think that she is more relatable to more people because she's white, because she's attractive.
What are you talking about, woman? She's smart, she's pretty, she a baller, she's got a sex appeal, and she ain't ghetto. The reason why some of these people are not marketable because they super butchy and ghetto. What they gonna market you? Makeup? You look like a dude. If women were so bent out of shape that women's basketball, half of the population is women, why don't y'all support women's basketball? Where y'all at in the stadium seats? Where y'all at buying the jerseys? Go to any WNBA game. Why is it not full of women?
So there's a hot topic going on right now. Caitlin Clark says she got cheap shotted against the sky. I mean, throughout the season, she's been getting beat up. Hard screens, elbows, knocked down. It is what it is. She's not the first. She won't be the last. My issue and my question is, where the fuck are her teammates at? I've seen a couple girls smirk when she's got knocked down, half-assed to pick her up. Like, y'all supposed to protect the asset, protect the star. And all this is the team. She's the star. You always protect your star. I was someone who protected the stars. You fuck with Kobe, CP, Blake, list goes on. It's going to be a problem because you guys are supposed to be a family. And you wonder why you sit at the bottom of the league right now is because y'all don't protect each other, man. Coach don't do shit about it. Players don't do shit about it. Y'all should be ashamed of it. But the rest of the league is going to continue to test her. And that's what they're supposed to do. It's your guys' fucking job to have her back and have each other's back. Got to do better, ladies.
But with Caitlin Clark's arrival, it's grown by 400% viewership.
It's just hatred towards this young lady. Only thing she's doing, like you said, is out here. She's playing the game of basketball, and she's having fun doing it. And the media has put her on this pedestal. Yeah. Like when she got knocked down, did you see the young lady come? She didn't run to her rescue. She walked over there and tried to pick her up instead of going after Kennedy. You don't mess with her. You know, you got to protect your superstar, your teammate, and protect your teammate. And none of them ladies have protected her. Yeah. I don't think on her own team, and I think she's unfairly getting stuff that's done to her, and it's just bad and insensitive to me.
Ticket sales have grown by 93% in 2024. What that means is without Caitlin Clark, the WNBA would have taken till 2029 or 2030 to get to where Caitlin Clark has gotten them today.
Records are made and set to be broken. But if you're going to break a record, this isn't just for Caitlin, but you asked me about Caitlin. If you're going to break a record, to me, if it's legitimate, you have to break that record in the same amount of time that that player set it. Okay. Right? If Kelsey Plum set that record in 4 years, well, Caitlin should have broke that record in 4 years. But because there's a COVID year and then there's another year, you know what I mean? So she's already had an extra year to break that record. So is it truly a broken record?
There's been a lot of hate for Caitlin Clark out there.
I think just the biggest thing is, it's really, really special, and I don't think it's going to set in for me for quite some time. I want my legacy to be the impact that I can have on young kids.
What Caitlin Clark has done is grown the WNBA exponentially. She did in 5 weeks what would have taken 5 years. So yes, the WNBA was growing before Caitlin Clark. Make that abundantly clear. But it was growing incrementally compared to the exponential growth you're seeing now.
I think Angel will eventually be a good pro. I don't think Angel will come into the league and dominate the way people think she will, because there are very few roster spots. Like, it's a real job. So people look at new players coming in and they look at that and say, oh, you trying to come take my job. Like, nah, it's not gonna be that easy. So will Caitlin Clark be a good pro? Absolutely. Will Caitlin Clark come into the WNBA and do what she's doing right now? Immediately? Absolutely not. Caitlin Clark right now probably takes about 40 shots a game. I know you like that.
Hell yeah.
When she comes to the league, probably ain't gonna get 40 shots a game. I do think those two players not only will get there, well, they will be hell of a WNBA players. They will get there. But more than that, their popularity will absolutely be good for the league and bring in fans that the league hasn't had before.
Her range, her three-point shooting overall, her flair for testing her range every night and knowing that the other team's going to try to take it away. And she's fearless. No shot is a bad shot, and when you can shoot it as well as she can, she just adds another element of surprise that you can't really game plan for because it's so kind of just unseen. And once she crosses half court, she's within her range. It's always a threat. Biggest thing is how she balances that and her playmaking ability to get everybody else involved.
Just back up and shoot it from further back too.
There you go. Okay, how far can you go? Steph Curry range is no problem for you.
Yeah, no problem.
Sick. You're the best.
Women's college basketball, Caitlin Clark is really, for women's college basketball, it's a superstar. And women's college basketball ratings are the highest they've, I think, ever been. So she claimed fans are more excited for women's basketball than men's basketball, and I haven't seen the ratings, but women's college basketball is on fire, mostly because of Caitlin Clark, but also because of other things.
What's the difference now in this level of play now that you're playing with these professionals versus who you play with and against at Iowa?
I would say the biggest thing is just you can't take a second off. No matter who you're guarding, no matter if you're on offense or defense, like you breathe for 1 second and you're not looking at your man and she's on the other side of the court. So I think that's the biggest thing is everybody's so skilled. Like this is the most competitive league. It's certainly been a special year, and to be honest, like after last year, I was kind of like, well, how do we top doing what we did last year? And somehow, some way, every single person in our locker room believed, and to be honest, this year was probably more special than last year. I mean, I think we're just taking it one game at a time, and I think that's why we've been able to be successful in this stretch is because we haven't looked too far ahead. It's the game that's always just right in front of us. I'm pretty sure the only people that view this as a rivalry is all of you. Like, for us, like it's just a game of basketball. Like that's what it is. And I know obviously I had the opportunity to do that coming into the night because of it being on ESPN and talking to the reporters before. But I honestly didn't know I was going to eclipse 3,000 points until a few days ago. I was watching ESPN. I think it was the South Carolina game, and Debbie started talking about it, and I was like, oh, okay. But no, it's cool, and like you said earlier, it's special to be able to do it here. I have a lot of family in attendance, and be able to see that and. But it was kind of the same when I broke the Iowa scoring record.
The cool part is the way that she plays and her range and the level of difficulty on her shots is obviously a very close comparison to the way that I play.
I was going to say Caitlin Clark's been compared to you.
Yeah, but I think it almost robs her of like the rest of her game because she's such a good floor. She has her overall floor game. She's racking up close to triple doubles every night, and
right.
Like her shooting ability is, it's her superpower.
Do you see any comparisons in the way that she shoots to you? If you compare the way you two shoot, do you see anything?
I saw somebody break down the release time, which is pretty much identical to mine. And then her just confidence you can't help but watch when she plays, where she's shooting from, the range, the confidence, the flair. Like she's a performer.
And what's the best advice that has given you in game this season?
Nobody gives me advice in game. I wish. Cardoso has 17 rebounds. They have 51 as a team. We have 29. Like, hard to win a basketball game like that. You basically got to shoot perfect at that point. And, I'm just proud of our group. We never backed down, and, we gave it everything we got. I think for me is just the emotions will probably hit me over the next couple days, and I don't have much time to, sit around and sulk and be upset, and I don't think that's what I'm about either, yeah. I felt like Kels probably should have got a little love. I honestly thought she probably should have been player of the month. Just what she was doing, and at the clip she was doing it, I think she was like 50, 40, 90 this month, which is really, really hard to do. So I feel very fortunate to play with her, and honestly, I'm not even trying to be corny. Like, I really think she deserved it. I mean, what was that, June or July? We played them here last before the break, so I feel like both teams are quite a bit different. I think for us, especially, I think obviously we're playing some different lineups. I think we're playing with much more tempo. I think that's why you've seen us have more success. I think we're just playing at a faster pace, especially on offense. That's where we found a lot of our success is when we push the ball. But obviously that starts on defense. I think our defense has also improved, and that was probably our main focus point over the break. I felt like we were flowing well out there. Like, it just felt like pretty basketball. And sometimes I think as a basketball player, you can just feel it. I thought that's what we had. Like I said, minus the first 6 minutes, I thought we played really well. And this was a big one for us. It almost counts towards 2 when you're in the playoff race of like a loss and a win. So we knew it was a big one, but also like we wanted to win the season series with them. That was kind of a focus point. And the last time we were here, we were up 15 in the fourth quarter and kind of, fumbled it away. So,
Caitlin, this is the first time since 2014 that there's 2 rookie All-Stars with you and Angel Reese. Can you talk about just the impact that you and Angel have had so far in the WNBA?
Yeah, I think it's been great. Obviously, the attention that we're bringing, and then that brings to everybody else, I think it's going to continue to help grow the game. And obviously, it's a super cool opportunity for us to be here and enjoy this first All-Star experience. And it's great for the fans. Obviously, the fans are super excited about it. So I think across the board, like, it's super exciting, but also it's like really hard to do. So just soak it in and enjoy it and celebrate it. I've always said that, like, people are sacrificing a lot to spend, money to get here, spend resources to get here, or travel, or pay for their young daughter or their young son to come and watch us and support us, or buy our jerseys, or buy, whatever merchandise it is. So I think it's like, I understand it because I was that young girl, and that's what my parents did too. They were working parents. They would take time off to. I thought more than anything, I did a really good job of passing the ball, finding my teammates on open rolls, slips. I found Lou a couple times for a couple threes. I don't know. I mean, I think I got in the paint. Obviously, I would have liked to make a couple more threes, but sometimes that's how you shoot it. I thought Liz was really good. I thought Grace Berger came in and played really well.
Despite her efforts to boost the WNBA's popularity, Caitlin Clark has faced intense bullying, physically, mentally, and emotionally. From veterans to rookies, she's been relentlessly targeted. This has caught the attention of WNBA fans and NBA superstar Steph Curry. You won't believe his reactions to Caitlin Clark's mistreatment. The rise of the Indiana Fever's guard in the WNBA has been nothing short of revolutionary. The Caitlin effect on the league is undeniable. Beyond her talent, Caitlin's impact has been historic. There are now talks of a new media deal worth $200 million per season with an additional $60 million possible. Currently, the league's deal is only $50 million per season, marking a 300% increase. The recent WNBA All-Star Game also showcased the Caitlin effect, with fan voting up 600% from last year and viewership numbers set to be record-breaking. Last year's All-Star Game drew an average of 850,000 viewers and peaked at 986,000, the highest in 16 years. This year's game surged to an average of 3.44 million viewers, a staggering 146% increase from the previous record. It's clear from these numbers that Caitlin Clark is not just the WNBA's brightest star, but the biggest in the league's history. Being a star isn't just about name or privilege, it's about raw talent, and Caitlin has that in spades. Her exceptional skills are causing envy and, regrettably, leading to bullying both on and off the court. Off the court, Caitlin Clark has faced unwarranted criticism from sports analysts and veterans trying to undermine her achievements. Fox Sports' Joy Taylor falsely claimed on national TV that Caitlin was unknown until Angel Reese's famous taunt in the 2023 NCAA championship game. We were not talking about Caitlin Clark before Angel Reese walked up to her, did this "you can't see me" taunt, and pointed to the ring. This is not my opinion. I lived it. I watched it. I was recorded. It was broadcast live. We were not talking about Caitlin before that moment, Taylor said. Meanwhile, sports journalist Monique Judge labeled Caitlin as the white damsel in distress in the WNBA and took a subtle swipe on Twitter, posting, "Caitlin is the Taylor Swift of women's basketball. No, I will not elaborate." Off the court, Caitlin Clark has faced harsh criticism, but on the court, reality is even harsher. Since her pro debut, Caitlin has endured relentless physical attacks. She's been targeted by both veterans and rookies, suffering from shoves.
And Clark. I mean, that's clear, which was called. The question is, will they call it unnecessary? Kennedy Carter.
Elbows.
All of a sudden, we're pretty close. This has been as close as it's been all second quarter long, 44.
And full body hits.
One, which it probably should have been upon review, at least by our account. This, you could have gotten Reese for a personal, but can also see that being a no call.
Whether driven by jealousy or fear, the aggression she faces is palpable. The bullying is so severe that even the NBA has taken notice, with stars stepping forward to weigh in, including some you might not expect to speak out about the WNBA. Determining whether the aggression towards Caitlin stems from jealousy or fear is tough, but the fact remains that she's facing relentless bullying. The situation has drawn so much attention that even the NBA has taken notice, with stars, including some unexpected names, stepping up to comment on the issue and bring it to the WNBA and media's attention. The NBA reacts. Caitlin Clark's bullying, both on and off the court, hasn't escaped the notice of NBA players who have rallied to her defense. LeBron James, who faced his own struggles when drafted at 18, is among those speaking out. LeBron understands how media scrutiny can become intensely personal and how veterans might attack rather than appreciate your talent. Even Michael Jordan and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar didn't initially recognize his potential when he entered the NBA. LeBron had publicly defended Caitlin Clark, condemning her bullies. He's rooting for her to thrive in the WNBA and believes her presence is vital for raising the profile of women's basketball. The one thing that I love that she's bringing to her sport, more people want to watch, more people want to tune in. Don't get it twisted. Don't get it all effed up. Caitlin Clark is the reason why a lot of great things are going to happen for the WNBA. I'm rooting for Caitlin because I've been in that seat before. I've walked that road before. I hope she kills, LeBron said. Kevin Durant, another NBA superstar, has also voiced strong support for Caitlin Clark. The four-time scoring champ highlighted Caitlin's exclusion from Team USA for the 2024 Olympics. Durant believes Caitlin's success in the WNBA is shining a spotlight on other stars like Aja Wilson, and asserts that if Caitlin keeps performing despite the critics, she won't be overlooked for long. Additionally, 2015 NBA All-Star Jeff Teague has weighed in, calling Caitlin's bullies stupid and condemning their behavior. Recently shared NFL Hall of Famer Shannon Sharpe's views on Caitlin's bullying in the WNBA. Sharpe condemned the bullying, arguing it's unjust given Caitlin's role in drawing attention to the league. He pointed out that Caitlin's impact even helped Aja Wilson, a two-time MVP, secure a shoe deal. It's unnecessary and it's uncalled for, Sharpe declared. Longtime UConn head coach Gino Auriemma has also weighed in on Caitlin Clark's bullying, drawing a comparison between her impact and that of NBA legends Michael Jordan, Larry Bird, and Magic Johnson. I don't remember when Jordan entered the NBA, opponents targeting him to beat him up, Auriemma said. I don't recall Bird and Magic facing attacks just for elevating the NBA. Why are you blaming her? It's not Caitlin's fault that she's getting attention. If you could trade places with her, you would in a heartbeat. So why complain about her success? Former NBA star Matt Barnes voiced his concerns about Caitlin Clark's bullying by criticizing her teammates and coach for not protecting her. Barnes highlighted that Caitlin has been beat up, hard screens, elbows, knocked down throughout the season. He expressed frustration that despite being a superstar, her team and coach have allowed the bullying to escalate without intervention, which he finds unacceptable. I've seen a few players smirk when she's knocked down and barely make an effort to help her up. You're supposed to protect your star player, Matt Barnes said. While many NBA stars have defended Caitlin Clark, one notable figure who had remained silent for a while has now spoken up, the player she's often compared to, Steph Curry. Steph finally reacts. Caitlin Clark's game has often been compared to Steph Curry's due to their exceptional shooting skills from beyond the arc. It's no surprise that Steph discovered they share the same release time and range. Curry has consistently praised Caitlin's talent, even defending her from comparisons to himself. He believes such comparisons diminish her unique abilities and brilliant floor leadership. After remaining silent for some time, Steph has now addressed the bullying Caitlin has faced in the WNBA, expressing his deep appreciation for her contributions to women's basketball. When she shows up, the seats are filled and there's a different energy, Curry said. Steph addressed the bullying by acknowledging that while competition is part of the game, it's unjust for Caitlin to be targeted unfairly when her sole focus is to play. He encouraged her to stay focused, ignore the distractions, and continue playing, assuring that eventually she won't be overlooked. However, Steph and other NBA stars aren't the only ones speaking out about the bullying. According to one user, "What I've come to hate are all of these people hating on Caitlin Clark and discussing the apparent bullying when all Caitlin has done is play basketball. Not a complaint from her. She's way more professional than just about any other person in the WNBA. Another user commented, "The players who stand up for Clark are actually those who love the game and the talents within." If you enjoyed this video, the next video on your screen is worth your time.
Do you realize that, Cheryl Swoops, you're insane to do that? Let me tell you why you're insane to do that. Because Cheryl Swoops, you're one of the greatest players ever in the history of basketball. That's why. See, you won a championship in college at Texas Tech. You won 3 Olympic gold medals. You won 4 WNBA championships. You know basketball. You know basketball better than me. You know basketball than any of the pundits. You know basketball better than most of the men that play basketball.
But nothing says you're great more than your teammates and people you go up against every single night showing you that respect.
Caitlin Clark came into the WNBA as the most impactful women's basketball player we've seen in a generation.
Caitlin Clark comes in, the entire offense shifts, the entire offense gets faster, the entire team is elevated with the addition of Caitlin Clark.
The WNBA 2024 season will go down in history for a number of reasons, but none will be bigger than it being the season where Caitlin Clark changed the league forever and will go down as one of the greatest players in WNBA history. There will never be anyone like Caitlin Clark again.
Cheryl Swoops was discussing the Indiana Fever on a podcast.
Okay.
And she was like, in the Fever, they've just been tremendous. And she started naming players. And she named like every player except Caitlin Clark. Okay. She wouldn't mention her name.
Yeah. True hater.
Like real hater. You have to know it's crazy for you to discuss the Indiana Fever without mentioning Caitlin Clark.
Mm-hmm.
And when you don't mention Caitlin Clark, it is so clear that you're doing it intentionally because you're a real hater. He said, Cheryl Swoops, you know more about basketball than me. You know more about basketball than most men. You know the reason the Indiana Fever have turned things around. Sure, everybody played a role, I guess. But like the centerpiece of the whole thing is Caitlin Clark. And you went out of your way not to even mention her name. You're a real hater. That's what he said. And Cheryl Swoops, she popped up. She said, you can talk about whatever you want to talk about on your podcast. I'll talk about whatever I want to talk about on my podcast. And if you want to talk to my face, then talk to my face.
What happens when a legendary player tries to downplay a rising star, only to be publicly corrected?
That if you are a smart basketball player and you watch the way she plays, you would want to play with her.
In Caitlin Clark's rookie season in the WNBA, she faced plenty of critics, one of the loudest being basketball icon Cheryl Swoops. But as the media's anti-Caitlin narrative grew louder, someone finally stood up for her. Enter the president of the Indiana Fever, who had some sharp words that made Swoops' comments look, well, ridiculous.
You know, she, much like Tyrese Halliburton, she gets you the ball in places that you didn't even know you were open because she passes to space, she finds openings and ways to free up other players.
Throughout Caitlin Clark's rookie season, critics worked hard to diminish her impact. Despite her stellar performances,
I think what Caitlin has done for not just college basketball, but for women's basketball, period, I think has been great. The following, people watching the game, sellouts that we haven't seen ever. It just really bothers me, though, when people just take bits and pieces of what they want to take and they don't listen to everything and you don't hear everything. It wasn't personal. One, it was my opinion on how I think she'll be at the next level, because I do remember me saying that Caitlin, to me, could be the best college shooter I've ever seen. When you put these expectations on these young women in college to go to the next level and be immediately dominant, and when that doesn't happen, then people come back and say, oh, she was a bust, she was a flop, she wasn't that good. Just let them do what they're doing in college, enjoy what they're doing in college, and let them become stars in the WNBA.
Cheryl Swoops and Caitlin Clark. While both names should be associated with excellence in women's basketball, these last few months have seen their names become recognized for side digs and controversies, with Swoops being the only agitator. Sadly, it seems her pettiness has reached a new high. The Caitlin conspiracy. In the last few months, Caitlin Clark has made multiple headlines, and deservingly so. The attention she brought to the WNBA was unprecedented, and her performance and stats in only her first season, after many doubted her, have all made her the most famous WNBA player of all time. 2.5 million people tuned in to watch the Indiana Fever's final game of the WNBA season. To put that into perspective, it is the 9th most viewed non-all-star WNBA game of all time, as well as the most viewed WNBA game since 2000. But away from the views and attendance records, Caitlin Clark delivered the performance of a lifetime in her first year of professional basketball, breaking and setting new records. I mean, a rookie setting a single-season assist record, a rookie scoring record, and finishing top 5 in MVP voting. This should be applauded, with WNBA players and its legends coming together to give Caitlin Clark her deserved accolades. But unfortunately, that has not been the case. In the words of ESPN sports analyst Stephen A. Smith, there has been legitimate resentment towards Caitlin Clark, and throughout the season, it was clear for all to see. From physical attacks on the court, from WNBA veterans, to media attacks from WNBA legends looking to discredit her accomplishments, Caitlin Clark went through it all on her journey to being the Rookie of the Year. WNBA stars like DeJounte Carrington and Chennedy Carter have taken shots at her on the court and also on social media. Hall of Famers Lynette Woodard went out of her way, even before Caitlin played a game in the WNBA, to belittle the guard's achievement. Unfortunately, among these many names, one name that has continuously made the news for attacking Caitlin or being biased towards the guard is the first woman signed to the WNBA, Sheryl Swoopes. Her analysis of Caitlin since college has been nothing short of biased and wrong, with the growing perception being that she is jealous of the star guard. But is Sheryl Swoopes jealous of Caitlin? How has her pettiness reached a high level? Petty Sheryl Swoopes. Over the past few months, there has been a perception that Sheryl Swoopes has an issue with Caitlin Clark. However, if there were doubts about the perception, the belief was confirmed during the Dallas Wings and Las Vegas Aces game. It was a game Caitlin wasn't involved in. However, being the big name and talent she is, her name came up during the game. Sports commentator Ron Thulin mentioned Caitlin during a play-by-play. Thulin drew the attention of the WNBA's Players of the Week, explaining that the Indiana Fever's guard had an impressive week after averaging 25 points, 9 assists, and 5 rebounds. Surprisingly, Swoopes, who had been eagerly talking just a few minutes before, remained silent throughout the conversation regarding the guard and the Fevers. Obviously, Thulin started the read, but there are always a few gaps in that brief segment where viewers want analysts to fill in and discuss the topic in depth. This time, who the Players of the Week were and how outstanding they are. Sheryl Swoopes was supposed to give her insight about how great Caitlin was during the week, but the 3-time MVP chose to remain silent throughout. Interestingly, the scenario became even more bizarre when the WNBA Hall of Famer was controversially absent from the broadcast booth for the next game between the Dallas Wings and the Indiana Fever. Her absence sure caused speculations. However, she took to WNBA rookie Angel Reese's podcast to address her absence at the game. They were like, "Oh, Sheryl was replaced. They fired her. They kicked her off the game because it's Caitlin Clark, and she can't do that game. I was contracted to do 7 Dallas Wings games, so I was never supposed to do that game anyway. But because of everything else, they just kind of figured that. Because I didn't do that game, well, they fired me. But really, my contract was up. And that was it. It wasn't a thing," Swoopes said. But in her best attempts to address her absence at the game, she failed to address her silence when Caitlin's name was brought up because her absence at the Dallas Wings and the Indiana Fever's game sounded like a convenient excuse. Well, convenient excuse or not, Sheryl has a history of criticizing and discrediting Caitlin Clark's accomplishments so much that her comments are now being seen as nothing but personal attacks. History of attacks. If you are a WNBA fan, you would know by now that Sheryl Swoopes has had it out for Caitlin Clark for almost a year now. It's been a long history of attacks pretending to be criticisms. Very recently, the WNBA legend appeared on Gilbert Arenas' podcast to claim Caitlin Clark's rookie season wasn't dominant, that it was nothing but a lot of numbers. Those are hell of a numbers. But to me, that's not dominating, Swoopes said. To put her statement into perspective, Sheryl Swoopes' MVP numbers in 2000 were 20.7 points, 6.3 rebounds, 3.8 assists, and 2.8 steals per game. In 2002, she averaged 18.5 points, 4.9 rebounds, 3.3 assists, and 2.8 steals per game, while in her final third MVP season, she averaged 18.6 points, 3.6 rebounds, 4.3 assists, and 2 steals per game in 2005. Caitlin in her rookie season averaged 19.2 points, 8.4 assists, 5.7 rebounds, and 1.3 steals per game, and it is worth noting that she led her team to the playoffs for the first time in 8 years, which compared to Cheryl's rookie season, where she actually won a championship with Houston, the WNBA legend only played 9 games. The WNBA legend was for a long time vocal about Angel Reese being the Rookie of the Year, because according to her, the Indiana Fevers would make the playoffs without Caitlin Clark, even though the Indiana Fevers had not been to the playoffs since 2016. Later on, Swoops claimed with no verifiable source that the Indiana Fevers locker room is in disarray because of Caitlin Clark, and players on the team are looking to leave. Shockingly, several Fevers players have come out to disprove those claims. The whole Swoops and Caitlin Clark drama has now become a sad saga, with its history dating back to April 2023, when she first publicly talked about the guard breaking her 30-year NCAA tournament record. At the time, the Hall of Famer was visibly unhappy, claiming Caitlin was only able to break the record because she got to play an extra game during her record-breaking streak. To me, she broke the record, but she did it in 6 games. I didn't get that 6th game, so I set the record in 5 games. So, to me, she broke the record, but she did it in 6 games. Swoops told Pac-12 network host Jordan Robinson. Fast forward to a few months after these comments, and just when Caitlin was about to get drafted to the WNBA, Swoops went on Gilbert Arenas' podcast to discredit the Fever's guard's scoring record in college. She claimed the guard was only able to become the NCAA all-time leading scorer for both men and women because she played longer in college than her peers due to the COVID pandemic rule. However, she was wrong about it, but instead of being apologetic about it, the legend remained defiant, even doubling down on her criticism when she went on the Gilbert Arenas show again to discredit Caitlin Clark's talent when she further accused the guard of taking more shots than anyone else. She probably takes about 40 shots a game. If you have a 25-year-old playing against a 20-year-old, you should be killing them, Swoops said. Well, this was another false statement because the former Iowa guard averaged 22.7 shots per game, just 3 more shots per game than Swoops averaged as a senior at Texas Tech. After Caitlin got drafted, Swoops repeatedly went out of her way to dig at Caitlin Clark to support Angel Reese. When discussions about Reese being a bully on the court came up, Swoops claimed Caitlin was the real bully. If you want to talk about bullies, we can talk about every time Caitlin has the ball, she pushes off, Swoops said. All these antics, unfortunately, have not gone unnoticed among fans and the media, with ESPN analyst Stephen A. Smith and basketball icon Nancy Lieberman calling her out for her continuous attack and bias. Swoops get called out. Sheryl Swoopes' legendary status has seen many become hesitant in calling her out for her continuous attack towards Caitlin Clark. Her attacks and subtle dig and bias have gone on for so long, at least until recently, when former Kings assistant coach and basketball icon Nancy Lieberman called her out. Swoops said that Caitlin was a 5th-year senior. She was taking 40 shots a game. Her records were illegitimate, Lieberman said. Lieberman explained that she called Swoops as a friend, advising her to retract her statements and admit that she got her facts wrong about the rookie. However, the WNBA legend got angry with her and has decided to avoid her since. ESPN's Stephen A. Smith has also called out the former Houston Comets forward, even going as far as to call her immature. The First Take executive producer explained that all Swoops has done is prove that there is legitimate resentment towards Caitlin Clark, given that Swoops knows better, but has decided to double down on her wrongs. Well, in any case, basketball fans online have had a lot to say about Sheryl Swoopes' intentional silence and digs towards Caitlin Clark with a user commenting. It's actually funny that Swoops tried her very best to hide the hate she has for Caitlyn. She did a terrible job at it.
Another user commented, petty and jealous. No other way to put it.
Well, there you have it. If you enjoyed this video, the next video on your screen is worth your time.
When two shooting stars collide, Stephen Curry's admiration for Caitlin Clark. Let's start with this. Imagine you've got Stephen Curry, the king of draining impossibly distant threes, giving a nod to a budding legend in the women's basketball world, Caitlin Clark. That's not just any casual thumbs up. It's a seismic endorsement that says, you're doing something special. Both of these players have a knack for leaving defenders in disbelief with a flick of the wrist from well beyond the arc, and their paths crossing in admiration is nothing short of electrifying for basketball fans everywhere. Now, Curry's game needs no introduction. He's revolutionized the way basketball is played, inspiring countless hoop dreamers to practice their range. Caitlin Clark, on the other hand, has been making waves in the NCAA with her uncanny ability to score from anywhere on the court. But it's more than just statistics and shooting drills that link these two phenoms. It's the palpable impact their mutual respect has on propelling women's basketball into the limelight. Think about it. When a player of Curry's stature openly appreciates Clark's growing prowess,
her range, her three-point shooting overall, her flair for testing her range every night and knowing that the other team's going to try to take it away, and she's fearless. No shot is a bad shot, and when you can shoot it as well as she can, she just adds another element of surprise that you can't really game plan for because it's so kind of just unseen. And once she crosses half court, she's within her range. It's always a threat. Biggest thing is how she balances that and her playmaking ability to get everybody else involved.
it's bound to turn heads. It sends a message that talent transcends gender, accolades, and league boundaries. Their relationship isn't just about acknowledging skills. It's about inspiring an entire generation of ballers, regardless of gender, to aim higher and shoot further. So, buckle up. This is a tale where admiration meets inspiration, set to the sweet swish of net. Comparison between Caitlin Clark and Steph Curry. When you think about basketball sharpshooters, Steph Curry's name undoubtedly leads the charge. But recently, Caitlin Clark has crash-landed into the conversation with her flamethrower-like three-point shooting, igniting both courts and conversations. Comparing these two phenoms is like juxtaposing two cosmic stars, both dazzling in their own rights, yet complementary in the grand narrative of basketball excellence. Shooting prowess. Let's face it, both Curry and Clark are architects when it comes to creating space behind the arc. Curry's three-point shooting is something of a legend, as he pretty much invented the modern NBA's obsession with the long-range shot. Clark, however, is making her own waves in the women's game, effortlessly pulling up from way downtown with a level of confidence that can only be described as audacious. Imagine the hardwood turning into an interstellar battlefield, where long-range missiles decide the fate of empires. Scandalous? Maybe. Entertaining? Absolutely. Playing styles. Beyond their circus-like shooting abilities, there's an intriguing mirror effect happening in their playing styles. Steph's court vision is akin to that of a wizard, conjuring assists from thin air, while Clark's playmaking is breaking conventional molds, making her an all-around threat on the court. Both players demonstrate a natural flair and uncanny awareness, always a step ahead, like elite chess grandmasters plotting multiple moves in advance. Still, this parallel draws inevitable controversy. Critics argue that it's unfair to compare across genders and leagues. But maybe, just maybe, what we're witnessing here isn't just a matter of who shoots better or who racks up more assists. It's about a shared narrative, rewriting the rules, raising the stakes, and pushing the boundaries of what's possible in basketball. Steph Curry's appreciation for Caitlin Clark. Inspiration acknowledged. When it comes to basketball, Stephen Curry is a titan. His name is synonymous with dazzling ball handling and unparalleled three-point shooting. But even titans have their heroes. And for Curry, one of those rising stars is none other than Caitlin Clark. It's been a joyride watching Curry publicly shower Clark with praise. On numerous occasions, he's lauded her for not only her phenomenal skill set, but also her relentless dedication to the game. Curry has made it no secret that he sees something extraordinary in Clark, a blend of tenacity, flair, and that indefinable it factor that only the greatest possess. In interviews, Curry has spoken about how Clark's determination reminds him of his early days, those countless hours spent perfecting his craft while nurturing that burning passion for the sport. It's inspiring to see someone so young play with that much heart, Curry once remarked. The sincerity in his words makes it clear he recognizes a kindred spirit in Clark. And let's be real, when a player of Curry's caliber takes notice, you know you're doing something exceptional. Records broken. One can only imagine the pride in Curry's voice when he talks about Clark breaking NCAA Division I scoring records. Let's indulge in a bit of friendly scandal here. Rumor has it that Curry sees a bit of himself in Clark's fearless style on the court. She's shattered records with the same reckless abandon that Curry demonstrated when he revolutionized the NBA's approach to three-point shooting. Clark's record-breaking feats aren't just numbers, they're statements. Statements that echo Curry's early aspirations and the relentless pursuit of greatness that he embodies. Now brace yourselves for some juicy insight. The buzz is that Curry often marvels at her game highlights. He's been seen sharing clips of her legendary performances on social media, accompanied by enthusiasm-laden captions. You could almost say he's become her unofficial hype man. In one memorable Twitter exchange, Curry wrote, "The future of basketball is in great hands. Keep breaking those records, Caitlin." And with every retweet and like, their bond strengthens, inspiring a new generation of hoopers to aim high in both men's and women's basketball. There's something exceptionally heartwarming, and dare we say, game-changing, about seeing one basketball great support another. Through his appreciation of Caitlin Clark, Stephen Curry isn't just giving her a nod of approval, he's passing the torch. And for fans and aspiring players alike, this mutual admiration society is nothing short of inspirational. Caitlin Clark's stellar achievements. Milestone moments. When it comes to lighting up the court, Caitlin Clark doesn't just show up, she sets the entire place ablaze. Picture this: a young prodigy from Iowa, routinely dropping 30-point games like it's just another day at the office. Her record-breaking escapades have turned the world of college basketball on its head. Remember that jaw-dropping moment when Clark outshined everyone to stamp her name in the NCAA Division I history books? She didn't merely break records, she incinerated them with a fiery determination that left the competition in the dust. And let's dive a bit deeper. How about that game against Michigan where she, almost single-handedly, tore apart one of the toughest defenses in women's college basketball? Dropping triple-doubles like confetti, her performances have been nothing short of mesmerizing. The Clark effect is real, folks, and it's transforming the narrative around what's possible in women's basketball. Could it get any more scandalous than that? Well, brace yourselves for the next chapter. Future prospects. As Clark continues to make waves, the buzz around her potential transition to the WNBA is electric. Scouts and analysts can't stop speculating on her future impact on the league. Will she revolutionize the game in the same way Stephen Curry redefined the NBA with his unparalleled shooting range? You bet she's got the potential. With her eyes locked on future feats, Caitlin Clark is not just playing the game, she's molding it to her aspirations. Imagining her alongside WNBA titans sends shivers down the spine. The sheer thought of Clark stepping onto that professional court, armed with her audacious skill set, is enough to send any basketball fan into a tizzy. And let's not ignore the whispers, possibly scandalous, of big brand endorsements and crossovers with NBA stars. Clark's journey from record breaker to potential WNBA legend is the next big chapter in this exhilarating tale. So, keep your eyes peeled and your popcorn ready, because Caitlin Clark isn't just aiming for the stars. She's on a determined trajectory to become one herself. Potential collaborative ventures. Picture this: Stephen Curry and Caitlin Clark, side by side, crafting magic on the court with their unparalleled precision and shooting finesse. It's no wonder that the basketball world is abuzz with rumors and speculations about potential collaborations between these two titans of the game. The shared admiration between Curry and Clark has fans dreaming of what could be, a partnership that encapsulates the synergy of men's and women's basketball, breaking down barriers and setting the stage for a revolutionary blend of talent. Partnership speculations. The idea of Curry and Clark working together isn't just a fanciful notion drawn from fan fiction. It stems from real conversations and visible camaraderie. Both have shown immense respect for each other's skills, often singing praises that echo beyond interviews and into their social media shoutouts. Imagine the possibilities: a joint three-point contest for charity, a co-branded training camp, or even a friendly exhibition match bridging the NBA and WNBA. The chatter around these potential partnerships teases some truly intriguing possibilities, turning the collective anticipation dial up several notches. Growing integration of men's and women's basketball. While separate leagues have long defined men's and women's basketball, the lines are deliciously beginning to blur, thanks in part to trailblazers like Clark and Curry. Initiatives targeting youth basketball, mixed gender clinics, and even international exhibitions are burgeoning, showcasing a blend of talent irrespective of gender boundaries. It's a transformation that speaks volumes about the evolving landscape of the sport, nudging it towards a future where collaboration is the norm rather than the exception. Imagine a basketball universe where Steph's pinpoint shooting drills are complemented by Caitlin's strategic playmaking workshops. Together, they'd be a dynamic duo of inspiration, propelling both male and female athletes to new heights. This growing integration isn't just about coexistence. It's about creating a vibrant, unified community that celebrates excellence in all its forms. As we stand on the brink of this exciting new frontier, one can only speculate and dream about the transformative impact these collaborations might have. The fusion of Curry's wizardry and Clark's prowess holds the promise of not just electrifying performances, but also of a paradigm shift in how we perceive and celebrate the game of basketball. Closing thoughts on Curry and Clark: mutual respect. When it comes to mutual respect, Stephen Curry and Caitlin Clark clearly set the bar high. Curry hasn't shied away from showering praise on Clark, noting her unmatched dedication, skill, and potential to revolutionize the game. In return, Clark has often spoken about how Curry's style of play and resilience have inspired her own approach on the court. Their public displays of respect send a compelling message about the importance of mutual admiration in the competitive world of sports. It's a narrative that's almost poetic. One basketball titan acknowledging the rise of another, bridging gaps across leagues and genders, empowering future generations. Imagine being a young basketball player and seeing your idols not only succeed, but also support each other so openly. Curry and Clark's interactions go beyond simple acknowledgement. They create a powerful role model dynamic. By celebrating each other's successes, they invite upcoming talent to dream bigger and work harder. This isn't just about individual accolades, but about fostering a community where hard work, talent, and mutual support shine bright. Together, they're showing young athletes that the court is a place where anyone, regardless of gender, can make their mark and be celebrated for it. Call to action. So what does this mean for us, the fans and aspiring athletes? For starters, it's a wake-up call to stay engaged and supportive. Whether it's tuning into a women's college basketball game, mentoring local youth players, or simply celebrating milestones on social media, our involvement makes a difference. Let's keep the conversation going. Let's keep the stands full, and let's keep pushing for the recognition that players like Caitlin Clark deserve. Their stories are far from over, and with our support, the future of basketball, both men's and women's, looks incredibly bright. In essence, the tale of Stephen Curry and Caitlin Clark is one of appreciation fueling inspiration. By supporting each other, they are not just enriching their own careers, but laying the groundwork for a more inclusive and supportive basketball community. Now, it's up to us to carry that torch forward. So, gear up, fans. A thrilling chapter of basketball history is unfolding, and you're invited to be a part of it. In a world where competition often divides, the mutual admiration between Stephen Curry and Caitlin Clark stands as a refreshing testament to the power of sportsmanship and inspiration. Their story isn't just about gaudy statistics or rainbow-like three-pointers. It's a deeper narrative of mutual respect and recognition that transcends gender and league barriers. We've seen Curry publicly acknowledge Clark's relentless dedication and mind-boggling skills. In return, Clark has embraced those accolades, not as an endowment, but as a stepping stone to further greatness. What makes this relationship so compelling is that it underscores a broader, more inclusive vision for the future of basketball, one where talent and grit are celebrated regardless of where they come from. The potential collaborations and partnerships hinted at between Curry and Clark open up a myriad of exciting possibilities, not just for fans, but for the sport as a whole. Imagine clinics, co-branded events, or even training sessions designed to bridge the gap between men's and women's basketball, all while creating a platform for young, aspiring athletes. Ultimately, Curry and Clark's dynamic shows us that the arc isn't just about the shots they take, but also about the paths they inspire others to follow. While we may not know every twist and turn that lies ahead, one thing is certain. The mutual appreciation and ongoing dialogue between these two basketball phenoms are shaping a richer, more interconnected future for the sport. So, keep your eyes peeled, because this story is just beginning, and the next chapters promise to be nothing short of extraordinary.